So to begin, we're going to start with Star Wars Empire versus Rebellion.
Yes, it's designed by Sébastien Gigaudaut, David Rakoto, and Nikki Valens. The artist is stock whatever, and it's published by Fantasy Flight.
All right, so this is a remake of a game or a re-implement of a game called Cold War CIA versus KGB. And if you're not familiar, basically this is a two-player game. It comes in a very small box, kind of the same one that Hey That's My Fish comes in. And you have a deck of cards that you're playing against the other player. It's the same deck. There's like 4 different schools of like strategy or tactics or military, whatever it is. There's like 4 different types. The values like 2 through 5 or something. I don't remember the actual values, but both players have the same deck. The only thing that you have different is you have a character deck of 8 characters, and you're going to choose 4 of those to shuffle into the deck, and then you're ready to begin. Both players have the same 5 or 6 strategy cards. In the beginner round, you're going to choose one of those and put it face down. Then you're going to start playing. One card will come off the top of this like location deck. And if you're familiar with Smash Up, it's similar in nature. Basically, it has a number on it that you're trying to get well, I guess it is slightly different. Instead of like in Smash Up where you add all the points together, you're trying to get as close to it without going over. Blackjack style. Very blackjack style.
Right.
There is a small dots on the card too that tell you how many cards that you can have on your side as well. So you can't just overwhelm it with like 10 cards or whatever if you get low values. But basically on your turn, you're saying hit me, and you're going to flip the top card of your deck over, and that's going to be a value that you add to the total value on your side. So say for instance the location in the middle is like 17, but you can play 4 cards and you flip a 5, great. Then it's the next player's turn, then it's back to you, etc. So you want to try to get close to that value without going over. And you don't bust immediately, but at the end of the round, if both players pass and you're over, then you don't get to play your strategy card. If you're under, your strategy card will happen, but whoever is closest to the value will be the winner. There's some tiebreakers, but it doesn't really matter to tell you about that. There are like 3 actions that you can do on your turn. You can flip the top card of your deck over. You can activate a character or a card that's already been played in front of you by turning it sideways. For the most part, all the values on the card stay the same except for the characters. The characters will actually drop. So if like their value 6, they'll drop to like a 1.
Yeah, I think all of them are like that.
Is it 6 and 1?
I think so.
Yeah, it's kind of akin to the team manager card game where you play a card, but then if you exhaust it to use its special abilities, or somebody tackles it,
right,
then the value drops dramatically.
The one I saw in the example stayed the same.
Well, all the ones that come in the basic deck that both players have exact same copies of, all those stay the same. So
okay.
A 4 will drop to a 4, a 5 will be a 5.
Gotcha.
It's just the 4 character cards you choose to put in your deck. They drop.
Yeah, because the one Obi-Wan went from 6 to 1.
Yeah.
I remember.
So the idea behind that is they're a good value of 6, but they have the best special abilities. Mm-hmm. Some of the special abilities might be like, remove a card from your tableau, or, draw the next 2 cards and look at one and put one on the bottom or something like that. It's like very simple special abilities, but then your characters have some really, really cool ones that might eliminate, like choose a number and it'll eliminate all the other players' cards of that same number. I don't remember if it's exactly one, but I'm pretty sure it was. So anyway, you keep going. That one action, like I said, is to flip the top card over. Second action is to tap a card and play its special ability. The third action you can pass. And then the last thing you can do, you have these like little tokens that you get. They're power tokens or influence tokens, I don't remember. And you can use those to untap a card so that you can use its special ability again. If both players pass at the same time, the round ends. You flip out your strategy card. Like I said, if you're underneath the value that the main location is, you get to do your strategy. Sometimes it might add +2 to your total attack power or whatever. Or it might say like the lowest value wins this match, which is actually really cool because we realized in the FAQ on the back of the book that if both players play the same, like you need the lowest value to win, then it nullifies it and then it's the highest value.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the strategy cards are kind of neat because you want to, there's only like 5 of them, I believe, and you want to keep, because you get to keep track of the player, the opponents, because they all face up. You can see what they've played and kind of narrow down what they might play next. And you keep going. I mean, whoever wins the card, whoever got closest to it will win that card, and it's worth a victory point value 1, 2, or 3, and it's whoever has 7 victory points wins the game. Did you watch this video?
Yes.
Yeah. What'd you think about this, Matt? Since you,
You know, it looks interesting. I like the whole. I definitely like the fact of your card value is a certain amount, and then you can tap it, get an ability, but it lowers the value, which might play into your strategy. Maybe you just need to lower your number anyways.
That's true.
And I'm sure you're probably getting a cool ability off of it. A lot of the artwork I was very familiar with because it's all a lot of the same artwork they used in the living card game. But yeah, I mean, it looks fun. You, like you said, it's blackjack. I guess you're trying to get to a certain number without going over. It's different every time, I guess. You know the amount of cards you can use is different based on, or the amount of cards you can have out, I guess, is different. It varies on what number you're trying to achieve too.
yeah, in those locations actually have different special abilities on them, and that's a huge deck. I think there's like 30 of them or something.
Just
Yeah.
on the locations?
Yeah,
Really?
There's quite a few.
there's
Wow.
quite a few locations, and I think we only went through maybe 8.
Yeah. I do
9.
wish there was a couple more strategy cards so you can kind of play with that a little bit more.
It would have been neat if they did the strategy deck like the character deck, where you have like 8, but you choose 5.
Yeah, something like that. Or bring in, a bigger hand of them.
Yeah. And I also kind of wish, like, because the basic deck that you have that you're playing your resource cards, there's only 4 types, which means there's only 4 special abilities among that 30 card deck or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get your 4 characters that you add into it. So there's really not that much going on, and it almost seems like Eric, did you think that your turn was kind of linear path of strategy?
Kind of like it could have played itself almost at the beginning of your turn. You have a lot of different options depending on what you're going to go after. But once you start getting into your turn, this might be what you're saying. It's like almost deterministic.
Yes.
Like, all right, the best thing for me is to do this. And if you were in that same situation 10 times, you're going to do the same thing 10 times. And that's either going to be draw a card or pass or whatever. Yeah.
So, kind of like you're not really playing it. You're just making the
You're just playing
best
the game.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would obviously take.
It kind of, like you said, I mean, it does start off each round where you're like, all right, I got a lot of options here. Let's see what I can do. Because you might want to bluff, because you can pass and it'll be the next person. And if they go, then it's your turn again. So you can use that kind of into your advantage or whatever. Maybe see what they want to do or whatever. Because if you got 2 cards and you're up, you're like, I pass. Because you have to jump in. Otherwise I win default. So, and you don't want to just like max out your points because you're not sure what you might want to play based on what they play. So there's a little bit of strategy, but as they start putting cards down, you're right. It just, the amount of options dwindles dramatically quick.
Right.
And what's interesting about this, Matt, it's like 60 minutes.
Yeah, for
What?
8, yeah. So when he busted it out, I was like, it might be all right. It's just gonna be like a super filler. But yeah, it was a pretty long game for us.
Does that get samey feeling after a while though, or
I didn't really feel it got too samey, but
Yeah, I mean, I think if you played
like
a couple of times,
you didn't get bored playing it or anything, I guess, or
well, okay. Here's the thing. I think we may have gotten a lot of low value location cards. So like when we were winning them, we were getting 1 point at a time,
right?
and then maybe got 2 points. I don't remember clearly if there's higher than 3, but I'm pretty sure there was a 3.
I think the last one we got was like a 3.
Yeah,
And that kind of determined who won.
yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting that it was that long, but it really didn't feel that long. It's just
No.
interesting that it is that long. Although I don't know. I guess if I played this 4 or 5 times, maybe it'd start getting samey, but you would do it so fast. Like I said, there's only 4 special abilities, so once you kind of get the idea of what you need to be doing and what abilities are there for you, it is super quick
Yeah.
in comparison to.
Longer games.
Well, I mean, like each round is super quick, but you
Right.
do play a lot of rounds.
And your turns are super quick as well. You don't do a lot during your turn. So it goes back and forth. You don't have a lot of downtime. It is a pretty simple game. And for, kind of what you do in it, blackjack-ish kind of thing, hit me or not, there was still, enough there that it was fun to play.
Yeah, I liked it. I'm gonna hang on to it. I got it for like $5 at half price.
Yeah, it doesn't take up a lot of room, and it's cheap, so that probably does help.
Yeah. And I mean, the only problem would be that it's 2 players, but that's just because we typically have 3 or 4 players. But otherwise, I mean, it's a fun game to bust out. I mean, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I just wish there was a little bit more special abilities, but I don't see them ever expanding this. So.
Yeah. If they expanded it just a little bit more, it would
Well, and that's the weird thing is like they didn't even have to expand it. They could have just added 3 or 4 more strategy cards, only let you pick so many for game.
Right.
And then in the deck of resources that you start with, like I said, it's like 20 or 30 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Just put different special abilities on them. And that's the other thing is like in Team Manager, when you get tackled and you go down, your character taps and then the value lowers. Their star power. And this one, like your value lowers.
Yeah.
That only happens with the character cards. And like that was kind of lackluster. Because you couldn't play that like, oh, I'm going to use a special ability just to drop it down.
Right.
So it wasn't, I think that could have maybe opened the strategy a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then again, it would probably diminish the bust aspect of going over the value.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that you actually bust, but, once you're over the value, there's not much you can do to remove cards. So you're like,
Yeah, there's a few cards that let you, take cards out, but not many.
Well, either way, any final thoughts on this one?
Nope. That was all right.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it again. I don't think it's something I'm going to bust out all the time, but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the small investment and the amount of game you get out of it. So,
right.
Anyway, that's Star Wars Empire versus Rebellion by Fantasy Flight Games.